Hey there, YouTube. We're going to jump into our fascist news. This is a little bit from last week as well, so a couple tidbits I'm just catching up on. Thank you, Cam Cobb. But yeah, I'm not going to dwell on it, but Proud Boys Enrique Taro gets record 22 years in prison for January 6th seditious conspiracy. It's great. Love to see it, and I disagree with this, milk toast, lily white, limp-wristed MSNBC host Chris Hayes, who is, I think these sentences are too high. I think these sentences are too large for sedition, for being a traitor to the country. I mean, look, it's one thing to be like, I disagree with this government. I'm going to do everything in my power to change this government. Using the mechanisms of change, right? Because that's the power of democracy. But they did not do that. They said, we don't like the democratic result, and we're going to use force to change that democratic result. That is not free speech. That is tyranny. That is its own version of tyranny. It's just tyranny from the bottom up, I guess. But yeah, this dickhead right here with the glasses, you get a picture of him. No, I don't know. You know how bad these media players are. It starts playing other articles. You're literally like, I'm reading about the Proud Boys. I bet this is an article this is a video about the Proud Boys. No, it's just some other crap. Terrible. Terrible. I hate these news websites. I fucking hate them. But yeah, he got sentenced. So I mean, look, I want it. I love it. I want to see more of it. Show me the guys in suits. Okay, Josh Hawley needs to go. Right, Josh Hawley's a big one. He's got to be arrested immediately. Matt Gaetz, another person, pro-sedition, needs to be investigated for his sedition, for his support. And look, and then that was supposed to be the January 6th commission, right? Oh, good thing we made sure right wingers ran the whole thing so that we had credibility, right? Because the right wing isn't currently calling the January 6th commission a total hoax and waste of time, like they would anyway. So good thing we put right wingers in charge who did everything that they could to like mitigate the damage to the party and just laser beam focus on Donald Trump. Good. There's such a smart move, Democrats. Tisrael, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, Elon Musk is a proud right winger at this point. I mean, when's he going to start making the lower the age of consent arguments? It's only a matter of time. Speaking of Elon Musk, good transition, Tisrael. Here's Elon Musk blaming the Anti-Defamation League.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Blaming the ADL on his terrible business decisions. Wildly bad business decisions. Oh, we're losing a lot of advertiser money. Must be the ADL. So this is what he said. Based on what we've heard from advertisers, ADL seems to be responsible for most of our revenue loss. Some people say, huh? You got any proof on that, Slick? Giving them maximum benefit of the doubt, which Elon always does. I don't see any scenario where they're responsible for less than 10% of the value destruction. So, $4 billion. Document discovery of all communications between the ADL and advertisers will tell the full story. Will it? I bet it won't. I bet it tells the exact opposite of what you're saying. And this is you just, memory holing. I saw this term recently. It was really brilliant. But you know how the Republicans basically, you'll catch them in a bald-faced lie, right? You'll catch, documented proof. You said this. You meant this. No, I didn't mean that, and I didn't say that. It's like they just attempt to memory hole things, right? Like, It definitely happened. That's what they're doing with January 6th. It happened in front of everybody. Oh, it didn't happen that way, or it didn't happen at all, or it happened this way. Actually, it was this. Actually, it was that. They try to memory hole you, right? It's like, well, it's really just another term for gaslighting, but it's like, wait a minute, you know, am I the crazy one? Right? Was I on mushrooms watching January 6th? No, I don't think so. All right, so moving on. I do need one of those bang 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 transitions. I need something like that when I'm transitioning to a different story. Here, this is my temporary.
Oh, baby, a triple.
Okay,
oh,
that's
yeah.
okay. That's the new sound when I transition to a new story. Okay, until I find a better one. I never use that one, and I always wanted an excuse to use it. So here we go over to, I mean, this frightening fascist. Boy, oh boy, God help us all if this guy gets into real power. I've so rarely do you see such a proud authoritarian, such an eager oligarch, right? I can't wait to run your life into the ground. I can't wait to make you my slave. That's the vibe I get from this guy. I just got done watching I, Claudius. I'm getting a lot of Caligula from this guy. I gotta say, he's giving me a little Caligula. Maybe more Nero, if I'm gonna be honest. Caligula was, yeah, he doesn't have the perversion of Caligula. He's really more of a Nero. By the way, folks, I, Claudius. Wow. 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 Read the book, watch the show. Wow. I, Claudius, that's my review. Wow, ... End of review. So, thank you for coming back, Clutch Cargo. It's good to see you. I, Claudius, wow. And yeah, we are going to get back to the War and Peace. Sorry, folks. I've been in a depression hole, okay? You know, and I want it, when I'm presenting War and Peace, I don't want to present it like, you know, like saying nothing. You know what I mean? I want to show you and be enthusiastic about it. But anyway, okay, back to Vivek Ramaswamy here. Come on.
Oh, baby, a triple.
Okay, we're transition. Vivek Ramaswamy just said he will deport children who are U.S. citizens if their parents happen to be undocumented immigrants, right? So ending the concept of quote unquote anchor babies. I'm not going to go into look, you either understand why the law is like that. Look, and here's the thing, it's not the problem. It's not why your wages are low. It's not why inflation is rising. It might have a little to do with real estate in terms of availability and supply, because we are seeing some immigration issues when it comes to supply in Canada that are being overblown by the right, but are substantive nonetheless. You can't bring in millions and millions of people to stuff into your universities, but have no place for them to live or even rent. And the places that are available for rent, you're paying more in rent than people pay in their mortgage. So, right. But the entire canard of, I love that word, you know, the reason why America, you know, the drugs and the wages and inflation, and the reason why your life sucks and your wife left you is immigration, right? And this isn't going to solve anything. This isn't going to solve anything, and in fact, it's going to piss off a lot of people that would otherwise agree with you, Vivek, because there's a lot of right-wing Trump-supporting Mexican Americans. There's a lot of right-wing Trump-supporting Indian Americans. I know there's a lot of, I live in an Indian community now, and there is a lot of right-wingers in this Indian community. Okay? So you're not impressing anybody with your ignorance. And the fact, of course, he's the son of an immigrant, apparently utilized a bunch of resources, right, for immigrants, of course, because he's a total hypocrite, because of course he is. So anyway, that's all the time I got for Vivek today. On to the next story.
Oh, baby.
Donald Trump tells us what a second term would look like. Fascism. Full-blown authority. That's the end of democracy. It's the end of America if this man gets to sit in the White House again. He will spend every single day to ensure that his power, never ends and that he's able to hand it over to the next. He's going to install full dynastic system, right? Endless Trump administration. I'm going to put Jared in charge. Donald Trump tells us what a second term would look like. Quote, if I win and somebody wants to run against me, I call my attorney general and say, listen, indict him. Also, if he wins, he can't run for a third term unless. So, I mean, look, it's funny. He's hilarious, right? Everything he says is actually legitimately hilarious. But are we really going to let his inherent comedic nature wash us over and we ignore the substance of his words? What I'm trying to ask the left is that, has this man not shown that he is telling us exactly who he is and what he wants to do and that he will do it? Is there any doubt? Is there any doubt? Welcome back, Homeless Bags. Good to see you. So let's get a minute of Trump.
91 fake and
Immediately. You see what I mean, man? Every syllable is hilarious. I don't know how he does it. There's comedians out there. He's like Rowan Atkinson. You know how like literally everything Rowan Atkinson can say, he's just, his timing and everything that says is just so funny. Poop. And it's like funny coming from Mr. Bean. I just don't know how he does it. Welcome back, Butter Knives.
91 fake and phony charges. 91. How many charges?
91, guys. Every charge. All 91. All of them. 4 indictments, 91 charges. Every single piece of evidence. Every single allegation. Every single witness statement. Every single judge that rules against him. Biased. No, it's so funny because it's so true. If this was a book and I was reading it, I'd be like, okay, we're done. Okay, this character is like, because like it's some Tom Clancy political thriller, right? Set in the modern era, right? And you're like, okay, who's this Captain Crunch fucking tyrant over here in your fucking serious political drama? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because like our last ridiculous Republican was George Bush, and the two, it's night and day. It's night and day difference. Okay, let's do it for real.
91 fake and phony charges. 91. How many charges are there? But we're going to ask for dismissals of a lot of it. Most of it is just you ask for dismissal. It's called dismiss the charges. But remember, it's a Democrat.
Guys, did you know that if you're in trouble and you're indicted, you can just dismiss it. You could just say you just lean into the mic, dismissal, and then you just fucking dismissal. Innocent. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works? You can just dismiss that shit. And here's the reason why I know the people who don't, they know what they're getting. They know what they're getting because they know he's full of shit. But they know what they think they know what they want. They want a dictatorship. They want a right-wing dictatorship to end all the left deviance and fill in the blank. But here's how I know that they don't actually believe it. Because where's the right winger going to court and acting like Trump? You know what I mean? Just like, sir, like a regular guy is getting indicted for tax fraud or something, right? and he starts acting like Trump on social media and starts talking shit about the judge and starts intimidating witnesses, and he's like, what, dude, what Trump does, what's the problem? Like, he just does not understand why it's not working like it works with Trump. That person doesn't exist because they know he's full of shit. They're full of shit. They're a hammer looking for a nail. They have their conclusion, and they're just looking for a vessel to get them there. Their conclusion is that they want authoritarianism. They want a strong man. They wouldn't call it authoritarianism. They wouldn't call it fascism. They wouldn't call it dictatorship. But that is actually what they want. Because they see it as the only way to live in the America that they've envisioned, that they've created in their own head. This corrupt Norman Rockwell painting, you know, slightly off, you know, like those Norman Rockwell paintings, those pretend ones where you like, it looks normal at a glance and you look closely and it's like, they're like barbecuing babies and they're, you know, they're like, there's like, blood on the windows and stuff. You're like, wait a minute, I thought those were curtains. Nope, that's blood. And it's like, it's all messed up. It's a twisted vision of America, right? This Make America Great Again. It's based off this vision that they've created. It is not related. It's not related to a history that's ever existed. Ask Lenny, our Gandalf, right, in the chat. He's been there. This America that they've created in their head, has it ever existed in your lifetime, Lenny? He would know. He's very wise. He would know. It's never existed.
It's called dismiss the charges. But remember, it's a Democrat charging his opponent. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That means that if I win and somebody wants to run against me, I call my attorney general. I say, listen, indict him.
So weaponizing the justice system, which is something that they're saying, oh, can you believe the Democrats do it? But of course, hypocrisy is the easiest thing to point out.
He hasn't done anything wrong that we know of. I don't know. Indict him on income tax evasion. You'll figure it out. And you know, the good thing with me is I have a big voice and people know me, and you know me for a long time. But people know me and I'm able to speak. But if you're a regular politician, a really good politician, an honest politician, and you get indicted, you get a subpoena, and that gets reported in the paper and the news, you have to leave office. And the Republicans in the Senate and the Republicans in the House cannot let this go on because people are being destroyed.
Oh, boy. And yeah, we will be doing a special. I will be covering the Megyn Kelly Trump interview in a special stream later in the week. Tomorrow, I'm going to actually go through the Discord and make sure that I'm getting all your Discord stuff on stream. You know, the stuff that's appropriate for the stream, obviously. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. But yeah, I just wanted to answer some of these. So, you know, Lenny, I was just asking. So, you know, like this conception of America that the right wing has come up with, right? This caricature of America. Like I said, this corrupt Norman Rockwell painting. The great again part, right? This idea of America in the past. It's never existed. It was never like that. And Clutch Cargo, you might have misheard me. I'm not saying Indian immigrants are right wing. I'm just saying that there are right wingers. Like you would be surprised at the amount of right wingers that there are in immigrant communities, like Indian immigrants, Mexican immigrants, so on and so forth. That there's actually a lot of conservatism. And yeah, Lenny is correct with the Reagan years being pivotal in terms of the change and how, I mean, it was like once Reagan showed that you could destroy the unions in that way, that you don't need to capitulate to humanity or common sense or any of that you could just be pro-corporate and be praised for it if your propaganda and the way that if you're able to do it in such a way that you can actually convince people it's a good thing, you can get away with destroying unions and people will praise you as some kind of fighter, right? Some kind of warrior, right? All right, so moving on. Go wacky.
Oh, baby!
Moving on. Next story. Look, I want to I want to say a lot of things about this individual that would get me kicked off this platform. I just want to make that clear. I have never seen a human being in my life trigger the kind of emotions that this person, Nick Fuentes, triggers in me. An irrational rage. Like I said, there are things that I would like to say about what I would like to do that would get me kicked off this platform. So let me just say that I find this human being repugnant to the core. I find it hard to find the correct language to find the amount of hatred that I have for this individual. White nationalist Nick Fuentes wishes that China would invade New York City and start treating black people like it treats the Uyghurs by killing them and putting them in concentration camps. If this individual wasn't speaking to Trump directly, don't forget him, Kanye brought him along. Trump said, I quote, like, I'm quoting here roughly, I was very impressed, thought he was very smart. Trump said at the end of that meeting, he said he wasn't interested in Kanye. He was actually more pleased with Nick Fuentes. What I'm trying to get at is that Nick Fuentes is being listened to by enough people on the right that it garners us to pay attention. Because I've said this before, I'll say it again. He's kind of an autistic bellwether in terms of what the right is actually thinking, what direction they really want to go in, right? The stuff that they're elbowing each other at the bar. Oh, you know, cameras, cell phones are down, and we're just having a talk, right? And then they start really talking about, well, it'd be easier if it was like this, and if we could just, imprison people, and maybe Hitler had some good ideas. So he's, like I said, he's kind of a bellwether, which a bellwether is basically something that gives you an idea of what's happening in the climate, right? And yeah, Husky Canvas, welcome back. Totally agree. That's the other thing, and I was mentioning this about last week. I was mentioning this really quick about the neo-Nazis that we're seeing in Florida. It's not that they exist, because they will always exist. There will always be a group of pathetic, weak individuals that feel tyrannic authoritarianism is the answer. Those elements will always exist in society. It's that they feel so safe saying these things. That's the problem. And I do think America needs to have a conversation about, does outward fascism deserve free speech? Is there some kind of punishment to be netted out to those who seed poison in our society? We would have to agree what is poison as a society. Nearly impossible. All right, so there's a lot of like free speech, slippery slope shit. But surely, there has to be some kind of justice. And then look, justice isn't inherent. It's not universal. We have to create justice. So that means we have to have a big think about it. Does fascism deserve free speech? And if it does not deserve free speech, how do we punish fascism while retaining free speech? We do, because we do need to push back on this. And look, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. We do need to push back on this.
What if China took over New York City? And what if they made New York look like Beijing or Shanghai? And there was no crime, and there were cops everywhere, and they cleaned up the streets, and they built mega projects and new skyscrapers. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't we support that? What if we had like Chinese soldiers on every corner, and if a black person started spazzing out, they took a sword out and cut his hands off? And he was like, my hands, man, shit. And then they cut his head off. Shing. And his head went like rolling around. His decapitated body, he like fell to his knees with his head off. What if that happened?
He's just asking
That would
questions.
be awesome.
He's just asking questions, folks. So I've seen interviews where he says, I say these things not because I mean them, but because I want these to be clipped by the left, by right-wing watch. And I want them to spread, because every time, right, because they try to diminish the power of transparency by saying, oh, every time right-wing watch clips us, I get more traffic, I get more followers, I get more money. I don't know how true that is, but that's the argument that they use when people are like, so you want to see a police state cut off the hands and head of a black person on the street. You think that would be awesome? And they would say, oh, not really. I was just joking. And that's how I trigger the left. Not really, except they, this is how they spread their message. This is how it's barely crypto anymore, right? But this is kind of how I'm just joking. I'm just asking questions. This is how it works. This is how they try to capture the youth, or just try to troll their way into power, I guess. It's more complicated than what I'm not as articulate as I could be on how dangerous this is, right? I feel like I would need a philosopher here to give it the correct language, but just wanted to point that out. So we got to talk about Russell Brand. I thought, are we going to do, okay, just real quick here. Because every other talk show, it's all going to be Russell Brand. So if you want more Russell Brand, literally just, any other news or talk program, go to H3H3. I'm sure they spend at least 2 hours on Russell Brand over at H3H3, covering the important stories. I'm sure Hassan is going to do a solid hour on Russell Brand, and this is content, as he would call it. But the main point that I wanted to get across here is that, because I've been asking myself, what's going on with Russell Brand? I remember this guy being socialist, lefty, the rich are hurting the world. And then out of the blue, he starts talking to Tucker Carlson and making, allusions to right-wing talking points in his little podcast show or whatever. And it was very slow. It was not very slow, but it was slow, but little things here and there. It was like, wait a minute, this guy's talking like a right-winger, talking about how Jordan Peterson is brilliant, doing interviews with Jordan Peterson. And it was like, what? This kind of felt like it came out of the blue. No. I think this is what I think happened. And I don't know if we'll ever know the truth, but this is pure speculation. But this is what I think. I think he understood that this stuff was going to get out. He got a lot of warning, like a year in advance or longer, that, okay, this is out of your hands now, Russell. Eventually this will be, once the court is over, once it's done, this will be released to the public, and the public will know about these allegations, Russell. You can't hide it any longer. You have no control over that. That's the reality, right? So he sat down, and I think he sat down with PR people, and he was like, what are my options? I want to keep my career. I want to keep my celebrity. What are my options? And I think one of the options that they gave them is pivot to the right. Start talking to Jordan Peterson. Start talking to Tucker Carlson. Start working into your narratives, these right-wing narratives, intentionally, right? Take this time that you have before this information gets out to court the right wing. Because if you can successfully convince the right-wing audience that you're a victim, right? That it's fake news, or the right-wing audience will embrace a rapist. they will embrace a misogynist if he can coach it well enough, right? If he can convince them well enough. If he's a total sleazebag, yeah, it's hard. I don't know if Russell Brand has had enough time to do that. And we, just recently, because we saw the debates, the right-wing debates, and it was Russell Brand doing commercials during this right-wing debate for like some right-wing thing or something or other, some media project or something. So I don't think the conservative audience sees him as an ally, and I think that they're gonna, they're not gonna flip out and hurt anybody's bottom line by boycotting or anything, because that's what they're worried about. That's where their power comes from. It's like, oh, well, we can actually hurt the bottom line of Bud Light, and right, we can get them to be anti-woke. I don't know if he's done that successfully. So that's my theory. That's what I had to say about that. I just had this follow-up tweet here. Very interesting. 8 months ago, from someone called Low Stakes Conspiracies. Russell Brand is moving to the right so that when the accusations finally come out, he can claim it's a witch hunt. And the left-wing audience isn't going to hear it, bro. Nope, you done. Left-wing audience, you done. Justin Rowland, motherfucking everyone loves you. You got cartoons, you got video games, you got multiple cartoons on air using your voice as like every voice for every character. Nope, just the allegations. Now it's been proven. We got proof and everything with Justin Roiland. Yep, goodbye. Left is not there for you, bud. We have standards. The right will make a rapist, a convicted rapist, president of the United States. And yes, Trump is a convicted rapist. There was some confusion in the chat. It was like, is he really a rapist? Nope, convicted. Yes, convicted rapist. Convicted, guilty of rape. Okay. Donald Trump, yes. So I just thought this was kind of interesting. This person 8 months ago pointing this out. Very smart, very clever people on social media sometimes. Okay. Here, and see what I mean? Okay. All right, let's do it. Let's solve the Trump convicted rapist thing. I feel very certain. Okay, but hold on. Let's ask the Oracle. The jury found Donald Trump liable Tuesday for sexually abusing advice. So is sexually abusing not rape? So if I fiddle your junk over your clothes and it's just sexual abuse, that's not rape? Okay, that's cool. Semantics. All right. I don't know. I feel like Jean E. Carroll feels like she was raped. According to her $5 million in judgment, the verdict was split. Juries rejected Carroll's claim that she was raped. Okay, well there you go. I'll stop saying it. I guess there is a difference. There's not much of a difference to me, but I don't know. What is the fucking difference between sexual assault and rape then? All right, okay. Now look, evidence right in front of me. This is what the court says. I'll stop saying convicted rapist. The verdict was split. Jurors rejected Carroll's claim that she was raped, finding Trump responsible to a lesser degree of sexual abuse. Okay, so there is clear distinction in law. The judgment adds to Trump's legal woes and offers vindication to Carroll, whose allegations have been mocked and dismissed by Trump for years. So jurors also found Trump liable for defaming Carroll. Okay. Sexual assault. So I can say guilty of sexual assault. Donald Trump. Technically not rape. He got me again, folks. Thank you. Here it is, folks. The last bit of garbage fuel. This is it. This is the This is a very special batch that I was sent. I don't know if we're ever going to get this again. Let's have a sip here. I'm very excited. This is it. This is the last of it. All right, let's go. Oh. Love it. Love it. Oh. 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 Oh God. Oh God. Oh, someone threw out their compost bin a little early. You know what I mean? Oh. There was onion in that. That was a chunk of onion. Why do I have a glass of cum on my table? It's fresh squeezed garbage juice. Excuse me. Garbage fuel. #1 drink mix company in the world. Garbage fuel. Make sure you drink garbage fuel today. Cup of cum. That's a good one. So we do have some breaking news. We actually do have some news here. I don't get the joke. Garbage Fuel is the #1 drink mix company in the world, and our #1 sponsor, Garbage Fuel, #1 sponsor to the show, drink mix. It's no joke. It's it's delicious. But no, we do have some news here. Transition to new story. Transition new story.
Oh, baby.
Breaking: Kevin McCarthy to be removed as Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. So this is from Political Video Channel, and I gotta say, super clickbait. Super clickbait. But what's happening, and I have a video here to explain. Matt Gaetz is he basically to get Kevin McCarthy as Speaker, he had to agree to a certain deal that Matt Gaetz knew he was going to take advantage of, and it was only a matter of time. So even though McCarthy has announced his limp dick impeachment plan for Joe Biden, which is just utterly pathetic, can you get this guy on anything? So he announced it, but Matt Gaetz is not happy. He's not going full-blown fascist. Matt Gaetz sees an opportunity for him to take command of the right-wing party, and it's really only a matter of time before these extremists take control of this party. It's only a matter of time. Benghazi all over again? I mean, yeah, but I mean, you know, like, the point of Benghazi was never about finding evidence, right? It was about hurting the Democrats politically. And the thing about Hillary Clinton is that there's a lot of people on the left that would love to see Hillary Clinton in jail. And there's not a lot of people on the left that are like, you know, there's a lot of like, I love Joe Biden amongst the left that are still voting. It's weird. I don't get it. I don't need to show this. I just, you know, this is part of fascist news, so I just wanted to point this out. Mehdi Hassan pointing out that Ron DeSantis using the language of quote unquote invasion when it comes to illegal immigration perfectly mirrors Nazis from the past and current neo-Nazis. Just more evidence of the right wing using fascist language. Just want to point that out. It's very important because it's not about any one statement. It's about the mass of statements, right? The direction that they're going in by making these statements. Godwin's law. What you talking about? Godwin's law. What you talking about? What are you talking about? So once again with the clickbait here. From Politics Video Channel, very clickbaity, but saying federal court finds Trump might flee the country. So this is there's a grain of truth here, though, that there is discussion about will Trump flee the country once it gets too hot. once it gets too heated. I don't know. It's, you know, I think it's a kind of a possibility. I think it's a possibility that Trump will. Wait, I didn't do my transition. Sorry. But I do think it's a possibility. If we're in luck, he will. That's interesting, Tisriel. Why do you think it would be a good thing for Trump to flee the country instead of face justice? Because I feel like it would be better for Trump to be behind bars, right? I think it would be better for Trump to be behind bars. Okay? This isn't cum either, okay? It's garbage. There's all kinds of shit floating in this. You can't really see it, okay? It's disgusting, okay? It's made with garbage juice. I do this for you. This is my sponsor. They say I have to do this once a stream. Oh. But why would people think it's a good thing for him to flee the country? Tisriel, if you could give me more of your insight. All right. Transition.
Oh!
From behind bars, he still has power, some sort of power. Interesting. Good point. From behind bars, technically, he can still run for president. There's no way he could do that from another country. He might want to try. He'll probably try to do fundraising. But that's it. If he flees the country, that's the end of Trump as president right there. That is a good point. That is a good point. So once again, I would like to point this out. When it comes to dangerous right-wing fascists, yeah, we're transitioning. When it comes to dangerous right-wing fascists, Matt Gaetz and Vivek Ramaswamy are two of the most dangerous up-and-comers I've seen. Incredibly slick with their language, and able to dance around any, combative mainstream media interview that they have, right? Can tiptoe all around it, not a problem. And I'm not going to play this whole video, but I just wanted to play his quote here about warns of bloodshed, right? When it comes to Trump indictment and all that. So they're saying if justice happens, we will riot. And it is a direct threat to democracy. It is a direct threat to the rule of law that they're making. And they get to just make it casually, right? It's a threat. It's how the mafia threatens you. You know, you walk into a store. Oh, I'd hate it if someone comes in here and throws a firebomb through the window. Wouldn't you hate that, Phil? Yeah, buddy. I'd really hate it if a firebomb was thrown in through here. That'd be a damn shame. Boy, it would be a shame, wouldn't it? Anyway, have yourself a nice day. Just saying. It'd be real devastating. And that's the same thing here. It's the same kind of language. And look, it's like I said, it's not about any one statement. It's not, people aren't going to march up and start rallying because they heard Matt Gaetz say bloodthirsty. It's about building this mass justification, this narrative where it's like 1 + 1 = 2. We're under attack from the deep state. We have to defend the country. We have to use violence. We have to do this. We're under attack. It's about setting up that logical conclusion, that feels logical, right? January 6th felt they were under attack. They're trying to take the presidency, from our legal president. They're trying to destroy democracy. We have to do something about it. That's what this language creates. It creates this. It takes time. It takes time to do it. Which is why they have to be so consistent with their messaging, which means that they're deliberate, which means that they know. Matt Gaetz understands that he is somewhere in there, in his puppet master face, somewhere in here. He understands that what he is trying to create is the end of democracy. He understands democracy as being one of the things in his way. He understands that somewhere in there.
And I worry if they start to take the vote away, you could see bloodshed in this country like none of us want.
So take the vote away means taking the vote away from people, right? By convicting Trump of his crimes, you're taking him off the president. You know, they're trying to say that by arresting him for his crimes, you're removing his free speech and his ability to run as president freely. And what they're trying to say is that, well, if the American public want to vote for a sexual assaulting, God, rapists just work so much better. You guys suck. Anyway, that's true. Thank you for keeping me honest. A sexual assaulting fascist, America should have an opportunity to decide that. And you're being tyrannical by taking this guy out of the game by arresting him for the crimes that he committed. They're not even saying he's like that he didn't commit the crimes anymore. They're like, okay, yeah, he's guilty. You got us. You can't win them all. But you know, you're taking away democratic choice from the people that still want this criminal to run the show. And you're the bad guys for doing that.
Do you want us to be in civil war? Because that's what's going to happen.
Is that a threat? Is that a threat?
I don't fuck with you.
Is that a threat?
It is going to be the last American election that will be decided by ballots rather than bullets.
So do you see what I mean? It's not about any one statement. It's about creating a narrative where violence is the logical conclusion. Because they understand that at some point, their assault on democracy will be met with mass resistance. This will not go unquestioned, and they understand that. And they need their supporters to be ready to fight, ready to justify what needs to be done. And what needs to be done is that Lady Liberty needs to be defeated. This is actually happening. This is not some narrative by a crackpot. It's only half true. All right? But this is actually happening. Big props to your boy over there at Majority Report, or the Humanist Report. Sorry I don't have time to watch your whole video. But thank you very much for your contribution. We are going to watch this 5-minute clip here from the Majority Report because he does a great job breaking it all down. The situation with Matt Gaetz, the power struggle that's happening with McCarthy. And we saw this with the Tea Party. I lived it. Lenny lived it. We all lived it. Some of us did. Some of you were babies. But the Tea Party destroyed the old school GOP and forced a fella named John Boner. That's his name. John Boner, who cried at the drop of a hat. He was kind of the guy holding back the Tea Party wing of the right-wing Republicans. And the Tea Party was so right-wing that they refused to vote on their own bill when Obama proposed it because it wasn't destroying all of Social Security. It was only the beginning of the destruction of Social Security, and that wasn't enough for them. So even though it was basically a heritage fund bill being presented by the Obama administration, they still didn't vote on it. That's how extreme they were. But what they did is that they held fast and they took control over the Republican Party. So now we're seeing these elements continue that project. We don't have all the old faces from the Tea Party era. A lot of them are still here, but there's a lot of new faces, and they're MAGA. They're not Tea Party, and there's a difference. There's a direct assault against our democracy by these individuals. They know it. They know it.
Let's play this one clip of Matt Gaetz threatening Kevin McCarthy. As of this morning, they pulled the defense authorization bill. Frankly, as far as I'm concerned, that's the last thing that I care about being passed. But it is a sign. That is usually the must-pass bill. And it is a sign that this budget system process is a mess, and that McCarthy has no control over his his caucus, there was a bill that I think Matt Gaetz actually was involved in, was definitely supportive of. I don't know if he was one of the co-sponsors, to inhibit the transference of cluster bombs to any country. Ostensibly, I mean, I think for some
I love it.
in the Republican Party, part of it's to inhibit the ability of Ukraine to get it. But I think there are also folks on the left who see these cluster bombs as being really,
Yeah, and I see your comments as well, Tisrael. Thank you.
ultimately civilian killers, and that they should be banned. That will not pass. Here is Matt Gaetz, and this was on.
I'm once again conflicted on this on the cluster bomb thing, because I'm hearing from Ukraine these things rock. They're killing lots of Russians. But then I look at the legitimate stats, and it's like over 90% of cluster munitions hurt civilians. And I'm like, have the people that own cluster munitions been dropping cluster bombs exclusively on civilians up until this point? How does that stat get that way? How does that, it's those clusters, I don't know, those little cluster bomb ones. But there's also this, like, this is so shitty of Sam Cedar. Oh, you're so morally on top of things, huh, Sam? Ukraine is already mined to shit. It's already a complete disaster. Every place that needs to be farmed, every place that needs to be, cleared out and rebuilt, needs to have mine removal specialists there anyway. I don't see how the cluster munitions are going to make things any worse than the anti-personnel mines that are literally, it's like 5 mines a kilometer in every direction in some of these fields. So Sam Cedar, with your motherfucking moral bullshit, have a real conversation about cluster munitions, because I'm hearing on the front line that the Russians are not fans of the cluster munitions, and I guarantee you Ukraine isn't dropping them on civilians. So if they're already going to go through and demine the area, that's already on the docket. Why not? Why not? I don't, you know what I mean? And, like, I don't know, Sam Cedar, he thinking he's got a moral slam dunk. It's like, you're not on that front line, dude. Exactly, Chem Goblin. We're dealing with evil here. I mean, it's like, and I don't mean to be all George Bush about it, but looking at Bucha, looking at her son, looking at what they did to the Dnipro River. Does anyone remember the flooding that just happened a couple months ago because of Russia intentionally destroying a part of the dam? So I don't know, Sam Cedar, with your motherfucking moral high ground on cluster munitions. Oh, we should ban them from Ukraine. The stats don't lie. The stats don't lie, but I also feel like this is the left being dishonest as well. Because you're not on that front line, man. And if you're on that front line, you're fighting against the Russians, you're clearing those trenches. You want tools that work, and they're saying it works.
Tuesday, threatening McCarthy. So you want to know why McCarthy's in trouble here. Here's Gaetz. And it also gives you a sense of all the things that McCarthy had to promise to get his job as a speaker. And it's obvious.
Yeah, no, Lee, you're right. I got to avoid the word evil. You're 100% correct. But they're, like I've said before in the past, I have never seen such a clear right versus wrong conflict in my life. Than in my life. And my life is 30-something, right? Iraq, Afghanistan, you know what I'm saying? Desert Storm when I was a little kid. None of that shit was, right versus wrong. That was the military-industrial complex doing whatever it wants. But, yeah, they do exist, Lee. They do exist, right? They do, right? And then, thank you for, saying that. But No, I do need to avoid the word evil because that is too morally ambiguous. One person's evil is another person's, you know, amazing. What's the opposite of evil? Goodness, you know? So, no, I do need to avoid that terminology. You're right.
It's
Hello,
like
Victor
completely
Spade.
untenable.
On this very
Yeah, there might be a little maple syrup in this as well. Yeah, there's something that tastes like maple.
floor in January, the whole world witnessed a historic contest for House Speaker. I rise today to serve notice. Mr. Speaker, you are out of compliance with the agreement that allowed you to assume this role.
And this was always what was going to happen. Matt Gaetz was just waiting for his opportunity to do this. This is such a transparent power play, and it's only a matter of time before McCarthy is removed and replaced with an even more extremist.
Path forward for the House of Representatives is to
strategy.
either bring you into immediate total compliance or remove you pursuant to a motion to vacate the chair. We have had no vote on term limits or on balanced budgets as the agreement demanded and required. There's been no full release of the January 6 tapes as you promised. There has been insufficient accountability for the Biden crime family. And instead of cutting spending to raise the debt limit, you relied on budgetary gimmicks and rescissions so that you ultimately ended up serving as the valet to underwrite Biden's debt and advance his spending agenda. Mr. Speaker, you boasted in January that we would use the power of the subpoena and the power of the purse. But here we are, 8 months later, and we haven't even sent the first subpoena to Hunter Biden. That's how you know that the rushed and somewhat rattled performance you just saw from the Speaker isn't real. At this point, during Democrat control over the House of Representatives, they had already brought in Don Jr. 3 times. And we haven't even sent the first subpoena to Hunter Biden. Power of the subpoena and power of the purse. Only thing the 118th Congress is known for at this point is electing Kevin McCarthy Speaker and underwriting Biden's debt. And unfortunately, there's only one of those things we can remediate at this time. Power of the purse.
Wow.
There it is. We'll see if Matt Gaetz has the votes. The next 2 weeks are going to be insane.
Yeah.
We got 15 days until I think the government runs out of money, so to speak.
Yeah, and Matt Gaetz wants to shut it down. He because that's the thing about these guys is that they're utterly convinced that their ideology is correct, and they actually are convinced that pain is what is needed. No, we have to do this with yeah, it's going to hurt, but this is important. It needs to happen this way. But they're ultimately cowards. So if Matt Gaetz gets what he wants and then the shit hits the fan, the first guy who's going to start bawling and crying and screaming, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it, is going to be Matt Gaetz. Because he's not thinking about the ramifications of his actions. He's not. He really isn't, man. I don't know. Maybe he is. I just find it hard to believe that collapsing the global economy is the legitimate goal of these fascists. Even these guys, even the Matt Gaetz. Legitimately, you think that would be good, Matt Gaetz? To like literally destroy the global economy? Really? He's like, "Oh, you're being hyperbolic. It wouldn't do that." No, it would, dude. It would open up the discussion about replacing the dollar as the global reserve currency. At the moment the United States does this, doesn't pay their debt when it's due, the next day, probably the next hour, the discussions about replacing the dollar as the global reserve currency will start, because that's exactly what China and Russia want. And there's, India maybe as well, but there's a coalition that would be interested in replacing the dollar as the global reserve currency. Of course, replace it with the Chinese yuan or the Russian ruble, right, or the rupee, because that is the United States' greatest power. It's not the military. It's the motherfucking dollar. It is the most important and most powerful tool the United States has when it comes to global. Never say this correctly. Damn it. I'm not even going to say it. God damn it. I psyched myself out. It is critical. The dollar is critical to the United States empire. It's absolutely critical to the United States empire. I never say it correctly. I was practicing yesterday yes, Victor Spade, yes. I never say it correctly. I'm not going to try because every time I try, I fuck it up. All right, so let's finish up this video.
And make no mistake about it. Like this is, there are tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of federal workers.
Hegemony. Got it. Yes. Hegemony. I was literally practicing that.
Who they don't know right now if they should pay their electric bill or if they should, cancel their, their vacation trip, or if, this is.
Okay, thank you, Sam Cedar. We get the point. Moving on to the next clip, final clip here relating to unions, related to fascism. I wanted to show this 3-minute clip that gets in a little bit into the weeds about who he said, she said, so that we have a clear idea of what's happening with this power struggle. And yeah, it's inside politics. Dana Bash, fucking Roblox right in my mouth and pull that Roblox. You know what I'm talking about? But this is an important power struggle because this has been a long time coming within the right-wing party. This complete transition to full-blown extremists, pro-January 6th insurrectionists running the party, Speaker of the House, running the agenda of the Republican Party. This is boring, but it's also incredibly critical to what's happening in front of us. So, sorry, it's a 3-minute CNN clip. Dana Bash, grab your barf bags. Oh, sorry.
Oh, baby, a triple!
Transition.
Today, Kevin McCarthy is trying to get everyone on the same page and not finding much luck. Behind closed doors, the House Speaker tried to explain why he made the decision unilaterally to move forward with an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. CNN chief congressional correspondent Manu Raju is on Capitol Hill. Manu, I have to say that
Victor.
I covered those halls for many years, and the notion of hearing a member of the Speaker's own party, Matt Gaetz, do what he did on the House floor, saying that he was serving notice to Speaker McCarthy, that he was.
Quite frankly, it'd be nice if AOC or other left-wing progressive elements were doing the same thing in the neoliberal party, right? Taking no shit, holding them to account to the promises that they made, and leveraging the power that they have to make real substantive change within the party. That's what's happening on the right. And of course, they're heading in the fascist direction. But don't think it's not possible. Like, the neoliberals, and Dana Bash especially, would frame it as totally impossible to make the neoliberal, like, to challenge the power of the neoliberal left and to change it, right? Because anytime you attempt to do that, well, you're making the right wing more powerful, and you're just a right winger, yada yada yada, right? There's only one direction that the neoliberal Democrats can go in, and it's just more leaning to the right, more corporatism. That's the only solution. But no, we could actually have left-wing progressive elements inside the neoliberal establishment, challenging them and forcing them to change substantively. We could actually have that, folks. It's not, don't believe the Dana Bashes of the world. We can actually change the neoliberal Democrats and convert them into a real leftist party. Yeah. You want to get ambitious and say we could take over the whole party? Yeah, okay, yeah. Show me a left progressive party organized enough to do that. It doesn't exist. Oh, the communists and the anarchists, yeah, okay, they're, yeah. Answer Coalition gonna do it. Not really. No, the best solution is to have characters like Cornel West run as Democrats, not as the Green Party, not as the Freedom Party, But no, have people that are respected, academic, and with good political instincts. So maybe not Cornel West, but people like Cornel West. You know what I mean? Respected leftists running directly against the Democratic Party, not in the Green Party where you can be easily ignored and thrown away. You know how many Cornel West segments they've had on CNN or MSNBC? You know why? Because he's not a fucking threat. And it's so funny to see Kyle Kulinski and motherfucking what's his nuts status coup Jordan Sheridan, status coup over there at Jordan, you know, doing great work, by the way, status coup, but pretending like Cornel West is like he's a thing that's being like attacked. Oh, you're making like, I swear to God, status coup doing clickbait videos about how the left is sweating about Cornel West. No, they're not. And you know why? Because he immediately put himself in a free speech cage, the Green Party, that can't even legitimately run in all states. Should have ran as a goddamn independent like Bernie. You got to emulate what works. You know, Bernie was working. Fix the problems and do it again. Oh, I don't want to do it like Bernie. I want to do it like Cornel West. Like a total fucking blah. The Green Party, after you fucked with Jimmy Dore's party, oh, you're not a threat to the establishment, Cornel West, and you should be. Welcome back, Rebel.
Out of compliance, and he needed to bring him into total compliance, was about the most brazen thing I think I've ever heard when it comes to the challenge to somebody's leadership.
Yeah, and there's just
the neoliberal left should be challenged as such.
One of the many challenges that Speaker McCarthy faces this month. One, that leadership test that could happen at any moment. One member could call for a vote seeking his ouster. He would have to prevent more than 4 Republicans from voting to oust him, assuming all Democrats do so. That is one issue. Dealing with spending, avoiding a government shutdown, another major issue as well. That's something that Gates is warning could actually trigger that effort to push him out. And also impeachment. That is a question that members on both sides of the aisle have. How long will this investigation go? What will it actually produce? Will they actually vote to charge the president with high crimes or misdemeanors, even though a number of members are skeptical? Today, I asked Kevin McCarthy about his decision not to hold a floor vote to open up an inquiry, even though he said clearly just 12 days ago that...
I mean, but they're not talking about why Matt Gaetz, who perfectly understands that this isn't going to happen, that there's no evidence against him and that it would be a farce. Are they going to have a conversation about how, of course, Matt Gaetz knows that, and that this is just an attack against the Democratic Party, you know, as a whole, right? It's just against the liberals as a whole. I have heard them talk about that. So maybe they will bring it up.
That he would, in fact, hold a floor vote, but the votes were not there. Ultimately decided to order this on his own, even as some members are concerned about the politics as well.
Help Democrats. I mean, you know.
Who the fuck is this guy? Tom Cole? Could you retire, homeboy? Have you not filled your belly full? Are you not satiated, Tom? You know? I mean, no offense to my, you know, to the wiser people of the audience, but this gerontocracy is kind of embarrassing, man. That's hair dye, dude. Come on, brother. Come on, man. Are you full? Aren't you rich enough?
I haven't seen anybody do too well after an impeachment process. You know, didn't do well for us.
All right, let's get his full statement uninterrupted.
Help Democrats. I mean, you know, I haven't.
So he's saying that this would help Democrats because of the they tried to make an impeachment process political during the Obama era, and it completely flopped for them. They wasted time and money. They didn't get anything of substance, you know, and it wasn't effective politically. It didn't do what they had hoped, and it made them look like a bunch of money-wasting, time-wasting idiots who, you know, instead of passing bills to make people's lives better, they're literally jerking off Benghazi meetings, you know, hour after hour after hour, and Hillary Clinton smirking through them like this is a joke.
Seen anybody do too well after an impeachment process. Didn't do well for us in '98 with President Clinton. I don't see it as good politics. I do though think there's enough stuff here that it deserves to be looked at. And
So this guy's been a politician since the Clinton era. Could you go home, Tom? Can you fuck off, Tommy boy?
Your words. Why did you change your words?
Okay, well, let me answer your question, because I answered it every single day, and you could answer me every single day. Nancy Pelosi changed the president of this House.
But that was
This doesn't preclude from a... Nancy Pelosi changed the president of this House on September 24th. It was withheld and good enough for every single Democrat here. It was good enough for the judge. Why would it have to be different today?
McCarthy not explaining there, despite my efforts to try to get him to explain why he changed his position from saying there would be absolutely be a vote to ordering this investigation to happen. Pelosi, if you recall, in that first impeachment, an inquiry
It's Nancy Pelosi's fault, guys. Okay.
did occur for Donald Trump, and then the vote occurred about a month into that inquiry. But in the second impeachment, which is of course had to do with the January 6th attack, there was no investigation at all. They impeached him about a week after the January 6th attack. But McCarthy there again, not explaining his decision, but it's really about this, Dana. He didn't have the votes in order to open up an inquiry, and a lot of those vulnerable members didn't want to cast that vote.
Yeah.
We'll do the explaining for him. You will.
Thank you so much, Dana. God, she's great. All right, there you go, folks. That's my fascist update for today. We're transitioning away.
Baby!
You know, we're transitioning away to all of our Ukrainian news, old and new. And old Ukrainian news means that it's older than 14 hours. You're such a mood. I am a mood. All right, so there you go, YouTube. We're going to be jumping into Ukraine next. Thank you.